Welcome to The Way Home with Laura Smith, the show that brings you wonderful guests, helpful advice, and uplifting stories. The Way Home. Live inspired. Here's your host, Laura Smith.
I want to know how many times it's been that I have introduced these two amazing people on my shows. And when I say shows, I'm talking going back now, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years. When I was in New York at WABC, I had several shows there. And then as I moved to the Midwest, there they came along in spirit and over the air with me. You probably have, you've heard me talk about them many times, and you've heard we redo their shows often because the content is always so rich, and they're such beautiful people and friends. If you've heard of the Enchanted World before, they are it. They personify it. They are the couple that brings dreams to life, does the most beautiful and artistic work, all based on so many different modalities. I know you know Amy Zerner and Monty Farber, the couple of the century. I love you guys. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much. We love being with you.
Yes, and we love being the couple of the century. That's pretty cool.
Or even the millennium.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And the great news is we can live up to it.
50 years.
You're extraordinary people, and it's been such a joy over the years. I really was trying to think when we first started working together, but you living in New York, but your work is translated. You have how many books now that you've had translated to other languages?
Over 50 and 18 languages, including Taiwanese Chinese, but I haven't gotten a copy yet because the publisher's too cheap.
Well, especially now with the tariffs, you might never see it. But
it's true. They sent me an ad. They said, "Here, you can order it yourself." I says, "Well, I don't speak Chinese."
Oh my goodness! Well, the Enchanted World really is. That is sort of the umbrella for all of the beautiful, wonderful works that you do. The cards, the books, the divination sets, the artwork, and Amy Zerner's incredible haute couture that has been featured in the top-selling department stores in New York City. People like Elizabeth Taylor wore Amy Zerner's creations. I mean, so many stars, because Amy does artwork kind of like very uniquely in the sense this beautiful work, the collage work that she does. And it's the type of thing that you could have it as a painting on your wall, or you could even transfer it to a beautiful gown on a dress. And you have figured out a way to do that, both of you in tandem together. And it's just remarkable. I've seen so many of your posts this year, both of you, where you're in art galleries. And yes, you continue to work like this. I don't know how many years have you been creating your collage art, and then subsequently your fashion as well, Amy?
Well, I was born an artist, really encouraged by my family. So I always thought of myself as an artist. But I guess it was early 60s when I started mixing. I always wanted like lots of magic markers and lots of crayons. I wanted texture and a surface that was different than just a flat surface. So I guess when I met Monty in 1974, I really expanded into going into the closet with scissors. That's it. Or going into thrift shops and finding things. So I really used all kinds of vintage fabrics and lace and trimmings. That's how I paint my tapestries. And then I eventually started putting them onto clothes because it was so hard to describe it. So I would just wear it and point to my back and saying, "This is what I do." So it all kind of merges, and then we started doing books about the tarot and designed my own tarot that is done with fabric collage. It makes it a little different.
And right now, Heritage Auctions in New York City, right? There's a big auction going on of Tony Walton, the Academy Award-winning.
I worked for him when I was like 18 or 19, and some of the projects he got me to work on, like the first Chicago show with Gwen Verdon. I would make some props, and I would use chiffon, and I would paint on the fabric to make a special bedspread. And that kind of got my gears thinking about all the different things I could do with layering fabrics and painting on it.
And then in 1985, Amy won the NEA for painting for work that was all fabric. And she was the first artist to ever do that. And that's when she started putting them on her jackets. And she's
National Endowment for the Arts you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's like a big deal. Wow.
Yeah, they used to give endowments to individual artists. They haven't in a long time, and I don't even know how much longer they'll be around.
But, I do the high-end fashions because they're one of a kind. They're expensive. But we also like to do
Books.
So you can have a whole collection of my art for $20. And that's how Monty and I collaborate. He writes all the words that go with my art.
Yeah, there's actually a 2025 calendar of Amy's art, so that for $20, people get like 13 of her tapestries, and they're huge, so they could be framed.
We're sort of carved out our own niche in the publishing world.
Right. And
you truly have.
Yeah, we want Amy to be like Maxfield Parrish, because there was one time when Maxfield Parrish was really happening in the United States, 25% of the country had a piece of his work, reproduction in their home. And Amy, we love the fact that people get to live with Amy's art. That's why we like to make affordable things, because the originals take her a long time, and of course they cost a lot.
You have to see pictures of Amy doing her art on her floor in your home in New York, and I honestly I don't even know how you do it physically, like the way you work on the floor and you're all over and doing these large, beautiful pieces and putting them together. And it's really mastery, because to try to describe to people how you take this fabric and you layer it upon layer, but then you create entire scenes, beautiful.
Yes.
Oh yes, there people are in them sometimes. Sometimes they're just beautiful scenery and buildings, and you can do anything, and it's so remarkable. But how you have translated that into also your incredible work that you guys have done over the years. And I've been so fortunate to know you all this time, because I end up getting these beautiful things in the mail. The Vision Board Oracle is your latest. And I am a huge Vision Board fan. I even taught a class, Make Your Dreams a Reality, to adult education in New York. And I use the Vision Board as, one of the avenues to getting there. So when I saw that your latest creation was called the Vision Board Oracle, I loved it instantly, except I didn't get to see it for the first 2 weeks that it was here, because my daughter took it and she hid it up in her room. And then finally I said, have you seen my Vision Board Oracle from Monty and Amy? Because I really want to start using it. So we started pulling cards every morning, my daughter and I, she just moved to Colorado, but we had a beautiful 4 months together. She's 37 years old now. So it's like, it was really treasured time with her. And we would sit in the morning, we'd have a coffee, and we would pick these cards that have beautiful sayings on them. And then we would pick 3 for each of us, and we would focus them on, kind of what we were feeling that day and where we were kind of our minds were going. And I found it tremendously uplifting. For example, number 52 is wellness. I honor and support myself and loved ones with my wellness practices. Good fortune. The universe provides me and my family with prospects for good fortune. Abundance. Oh, I pulled abundance when I needed to hear it the most. I am open to receiving abundance in all areas of my life. These are some of the messages. And then you go to the book that you have both done together, Amy's art, Monty's words, and you read this huge, long, very deep, very heartfelt, and very beautiful sort of message around the card and the number of the card. And so I love it. I think everyone can use this. It's something so special you can do with your family. And once again, you hit the nail on the proverbial head.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I'm telling you, I've included in there, one day I was thinking to myself, how did I go from being this sad, homeless person to having this wonderful life? Because until I met Amy, I really was sort of floating. And I realized I had a technique, and I've incorporated that technique for manifesting in the Vision Board Oracle. And the trouble, though, it's like being a lawyer. There's people out there working full time to give your business a bad name. There's so many people out there saying, yeah, I can help you change your life. Well, guess what? The Vision Board Oracle is really designed to help people change their lives and manifest the life that and using the principles of science, of physics.
Because sometimes knowing what your goal is the hardest part. Because sometimes people are very vague about it. Do they want love? Or why do they want love? You should hone it down. And while you're making, really all my artwork are like vision boards, because you're creating this ideal and you're putting energy into it and you're getting energy back from the images. And so you test yourself what you really believe is possible and what you really want and desire. And these are the vision board becomes a reminder, it becomes a guide.
And speaking of a guide, this is the first book where Amy actually shares her technique for making tapestries and vision boards.
Because you don't have to be an artist, but
right.
I think we're all creative beings. And if you squelch that or don't let it come out, then we feel unfulfilled in many ways. So the whole act of creating a vision board, anyone can collage. You collect images that you love and are interested in, sort of like treasure hunting, which is really fun, going through magazines or your old photos or the words that inspire you. And I mean, that's the bottom line. It's fun to do, and it's like sacred play. We always call it sacred play because it's a spiritual practice.
It is, and it's not just for kids. It's adults need this. We all, at any point in our lives, we need to look inward and really ask ourselves, what do we truly want? Who do we want to be? How do we want to show up in this world? It's really a longing of every heart and soul, I think, in the world. But all of your books do this, and this one in particular, I love it. It's the Vision Board Oracle: Divine, Create, and Manifest with Imagination and Intention. Monty's words, Amy's art, and really both of them together. You're both so incredibly gifted in the arts of really visualizing and helping people to, you are a master astrologer, and Monty, and I tell everybody, who says, oh, that's against the Bible and you're not supposed to do that or whatever. What I tell them is it's not the fake kind, but the real kind is an actual science. You have mastered that, and your way of describing it and your way of bringing it to life for people is so beautiful. You don't claim to not love God or believe there is a higher power at all.
No, as a matter of fact, in my high school, I went to a scientific high school called Brooklyn Tech. And in honor English, the first year we studied the Bible as a secular book. They don't do that in the New York City school system anymore. And I got so much out of that. And I mean, it says in the Bible, the heavens declare his handiwork. It literally says that.
We gave a lecture at a local synagogue last year, and
the rabbi explained to us why
astrology is in the Bible.
Yeah. And the thing with the Vision Board Oracle, there's no astrology in it. And it's not occult in the slightest. Because, I mean, what it is, it's the feeling you got when you were a kid and you were in kindergarten, you were making stuff and you were making, oh my God, it was so much fun. That's what's missing in people's lives. That, and you add that to the fact that everyone talks about community, but nobody does anything about it. We've been having Vision Board parties. And everybody. Yeah, and we did it online for about 35 people.
I think we'll do it again because it was so much fun.
Yeah, and we had 3 cameras, so it was people could see Amy making her vision board. I was talking about the text because it is based on science. Like I said, I went to a science school. We
like to think that our version of it is like supercharged vision boards.
Right.
Because if you do Monty's technique while you're creating, it supercharges it so that it works even better.
Yeah, because I have this thing called quantum affirmations, and what it is it's an affirmation technique based on quantum physics, because I postulate that consciousness is the smallest particle, and the other name for quantum physics is particle physics. And so it's how to entangle yourself with the probable future that you want to get to, and that's what the book is all about, underlying all the other aspects. It's not dry. It's fun. And this is fun. Life is fun.
Yes. I found that the people, when I was teaching, we were doing the vision boarding, they were truly inspired and excited. And in fact, I had a party here with a friend when I first moved here 5 years ago. And I still have my little, my board up there that I still look at. And because it's amazing how you see, without a vision, the people perish. The Bible says that. And it's so important to have in your own mind, in your own heart, those things that you desire to accomplish and desire to manifest and desire to have in your life, the kind of person you want to be. And I think visualizing is one of the strongest aspects, speaking it as well, and then also thinking. And so you blend all of those modalities, both of you, into these. So that's why the Vision Board Oracle, even though it is the latest, how many have you done before this?
A lot, but this one sort of sums it all up. And I love the fact that it's not a cult, and it's not tarot cards, and it's not a system. No,
this is just about your imagination. And
exactly.
And it's like keeping a diary, and we know how important that is to write down, like you said, to write it down, to visualize it, to think it, to feel it, to see it. This is a different way of making a diary.
And then you can live with original art, which I'm so privileged to live with Amy's original art all the time. But when you have a vision board party, everybody walks away with a work of art.
And also it's a wonderful thing that you get to share your personal goals and desires and in a sacred space and, people that you trust. It creates a beautiful intimacy and communication.
And look, that you just said you used to teach classes in it. And then we had our friend Lori, who's known Amy since before I even met Amy. She teaches, we didn't know this, but she teaches classes in it. Vision boards are happening, but they're not getting the play they really should because they're super important.
And sometimes, what the cards help you is to read the energy or to get you started, what you have to keep in mind with this particular goal. And it helps you focus more on what you really want.
Yeah. You do. You focus more on what you want. And it's so beautifully presented. All of your products, all of your books are always so beautiful. And I just picked up one that was number 8 called Trust. And there's a beautiful a woman here in your collage, and there's an angel above her. I love that. I collect angels. Like, that just brings me joy to look at. It's so important to feast your eyes on things that bring you inspiration like that. So now we'll switch hats for a second, because there was somebody who found you and your work over the last several years that was so taken with your work. She found you during COVID, and she's in the film industry out in LA, that she decided she just had to make a documentary on your life and your work. So this is exciting. Tell us. We've been talking about it here and there for the last couple of years, but where are we now? Where are you now with the film?
Well, her name is Anne-Marie Sereno. And of course, we've become very close over the 2 years of making the documentary. And
it's in the can.
And we kind of let her do her vision for us, which, because we work together as collaborators, it was a little hard in the beginning to give up control to someone else. But she did a great job. We're happy with it. We learned so much, about sound and color and continuity and, all the elements of filmmaking.
And permissions. That oh my God.
And we trusted her. You got that card, trust.
Yes, exactly.
And I think she was like an angel who came into our life.
And she's produced a couple of actually kind of horror movies based on Japanese video games. And she did those during COVID. And she might actually be working with the Friday the 13th franchises.
But Mikey used to work in the film business, so we know it's what professionals are and how they work, and she was that.
But she did a departure from what she normally does out in LA to focus on you. And because this is what happens when people meet you or see you, because you guys do a lot online on your social media, is the enchanted world of Amy Zerner and Monty Farber. What people also, they find out about you is your great love story, which you are very open about, and how long you've known each other and how you fell in love literally the first night you met in, what was it, 1970?
74. And that's actually what the movie, that's the underlying thing is it's called Amy and Monty, A Legacy of Love and Creativity.
And also, I think the message is that your own path is unique. You don't have to do it like anyone else, or have a relationship like anyone else, or have a career like anyone else, because there's so much magic that happens, when you're open and when you do trust.
And getting back to the vision board, when Anne Marie saw us on our Zoom show, which was called Ask the Oracles, she had read my Quantum Affirmations book, which is, that's the technique I share with the Vision Board Oracle.
Before she met us.
She was rereading it for the second time. And then she realized, oh my God, these are the people who wrote that book. And so it was part of her life at that point, and she manifested us. So manifestation, it happens. It really does.
It's a real thing. Yes.
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
And you want to entangle yourself with the future you want to get to. It never happens the way you think it's going to happen, but it does happen.
Oh, it does for sure. And I remember reading a book by my friend Ariel Ford many, many years ago. It actually fell off the shelf at my feet in a bookstore. It was called Hot Chocolate for the Mystical Soul and Hot Chocolate for the Mystical Lover.
I think we're in the book.
You guys are in that, but I didn't know you then. But I never forgot the story of these two that fell in love and the young boy who told his father he had this dream about this beautiful woman with purple toned hair and riding a horse. And this was back in the 60s. And lo and behold, you meet Amy. She had purple toned hair when nobody was doing that. This was like 1974. I didn't know anybody that was coloring their hair like that then. You fell in love the first night you met. But then, so I had read that story and I was so captivated by it. And Monty, how you were you had this dream and you shared it with your father, who was like a gruff New York City cop.
Yeah, NYPD sergeant, as a matter of fact. And he said to me, I said to him, I just dreamed of the woman I love. He says, what do you know about love? And I was like, you know what? Just shut up. Because as an Aquarius, here's a little bit of astrology. Aquarians don't care. You can say whatever you want. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, that.
Yes. Well, it came that I fell in love with you two by reading that story, put it on the shelf after I finished it. I reread that book a couple of times, loved it. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, who do I meet several years later? Are you both from the story in the book? It's amazing to me. And life is so full of joy and magic like that in a good way, in a healthy, beautiful way. It is what you see, what you create visions of, what you look at in your thoughts can come true. So make sure the thoughts are the things that you truly want. And you guys manifest that, you live it on a daily basis. I've never met anybody as prolific as the two of you. Never. In terms of artwork, in books, in production, in all the various things that you do. It's constant. But so is your love. And so it's just so beautiful. I love spending time with you. And this latest, the Vision Board Oracle, is really something I think everybody can enjoy. It doesn't matter what age you are. Everybody can get one for their family and sit around like my daughter and I did and really focus yourself for that day or that week on something you'd like to really look at internally and then make it manifest in your life. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I can't thank you enough, both. I cannot wait to see this documentary. You have got to come back on when it's going to be given to a broad audience, because I want everybody to go see it. Say the name of it again.
It's called Amy and Monty, A Legacy of Love and Creativity by Anne-Marie Serino.
Anne-Marie Serino?
Serino, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know it's going to be beautiful, and anyone that sees you will fall in love, just like I have, because you just exude love, and you make the world, honestly, the most beautiful place just by being in it and all that you do. So thank you. Where can people get the Vision Board Oracle and your many 50 other books and sets of cards and games and everything else, and calendars and cookbooks? Oh my gosh, you guys do so much together, and your artwork, of course.
Stop us before we create again. No, our website is The Enchanted World, or just enchantedworld.com, and everything's there. But all our books are sold in Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all those places. Your local bookstore would be the best place to get them to order stuff. Because we're with major publishers, we don't self-publish anything.
Right.
But Enchanted World is probably your best bet. You can see Amy's art. You can get readings, free tarot readings if you're into that. There's all kinds of crazy stuff on our website.
Yes, there's so much, and you do lots of Facebook timing things, and you talk to people, and you're so poetic, and you also write every day, Monty. Practically, you write about what's going on it's so many. Yeah, it's incredible. The amount of time somebody can spend just in enchantedworld.com or Enchanted World with Monty and Amy. Find it all over social media. You can buy everything there. The books are beautiful, wonderful. And of course, if you go to New York City and you would like to get your hand on something that maybe was a bit like what Elizabeth Taylor wore back in her day. And now, I mean, you have a lot of stars wearing your clothes, Amy, still.
Yes.
Is it at Bergdorf Goodman now, or has it changed venues? It's still at Bergdorf.
On the fourth floor in the evening department.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning.
People get dressed up and sparkle.
Yes, Amy does amazing things. I mean, she makes caftans, and she has Saudi princesses who could get their caftans in Saudi Arabia, but they get them from Amy.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, and she does all kinds of jackets, and people whose family owns Selfridges. That's one of her collectors. People who can get anything go to Bergdorf's because it's the only place in the world you can get Amy Zerna's clothing.
It's really remarkable. It's a beautiful thing. You give me goosebumps, but I love you both so very much. The Vision Board Oracle is the latest. See all that you can there. And then once you dive into enchantedworld.com or the Enchanted World of Amy and Monty, I promise you'll never want to leave. It's a beautiful place to be. Thank you both so much. God bless you on your journey. And we love you and cannot wait to see the beautiful documentary on your life and your art and everything you do together. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much, love. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Here's Laura.
Oh, I love it when my friends introduce me to new friends who are so fabulous. And in this case, an old friend of mine said, "Oh, you have to talk to my friend Roberta." I said, "I've seen her online with you over the years, many years, but I've never gotten to meet her." And he said, "Well, she has a fairly new book and she is so fantastic. I think your listeners are really going to get something out of this." So I'm so excited to have Roberta Bergman here. She has a great book with something that I know I have many friends that deal with back pain. And so they are going to get something out of this. And, even if you never have before, but if you ever do, you want to know what to do. Back on Track is the name of the book, The Lifestyle and Exercise Guide on Healing Back Pain. Roberta, thank you so much for joining us today. You're quite the guru when it comes to fitness and healthy lifestyle and wellness and mind-body connection. In fact, your company, Body Formula, I love that. So thank you so much. You've been doing this forever. Give us some background on your expertise, and then we'll focus on the book.
Okay, sure. Well, I've been teaching exercise my entire adult life and have been dedicating my career to helping people harness their health. And that's done in so many different ways. The first one, of course, is exercise, most importantly. But another one is improving your mental attitude about your health and about your fitness levels. And it's not just the obvious benefits of exercise that I want people to realize, but it's also the not so obvious benefits of creating a good, calm, sound mind and body, and developing a stressless body and mind. So what I'm saying is, if you think about how your back is feeling and how your body feels and how you view your health, you might want to work on certain aspects of it that enhance your experience of your physical body.
I love that. You were writing in the book on how naturally as a child you watched, was it your mother or your grandmother do exercises?
Oh, yeah. My grandmother, to Jack LaLanne. Remember that?
Jack LaLanne. Of course I do. That even predated Sweating with the Oldies with Richard Simmons, right? Jack LaLanne. He was like the movie star meets, Tarzan or something. He just had this great. But yeah, so you said that was something that you did naturally. You got up every day and exercised as a child. I was the complete opposite. It wasn't my thing. I would rather sit and think and listen to music and do art and things like that. Nothing involved any exercise whatsoever. And PE was my least favorite class. So I was so excited to you have a lot of gentle information here. That's not one of those just get out there and start exercising and sort of drill sergeant. You really do it in a beautiful, mindful way, so people don't have this guilt. There's so much guilt around exercising and not exercising. So talk about that, the connection, the emotional aspects of exercising and incorporating it into our lives.
Okay. Well, I'm going to really confer with you because my sister hated to exercise also, and she would yell at me that I'm sweating in her room and to get out. So I know not everybody likes to exercise, but it doesn't really matter if you don't like it. You have to find something that you enjoy doing, even if it's walking, even if it's a short walk, it's better than nothing. But I want to say that many people cannot handle that hardcore exercise with weights and go for the burn. And that is, my approach is the complete antithesis of that. So that's how I got into the mind-body connection. I did a master's of science in movement therapy, where we had to study the body therapies. And two, which I want to speak about most, is the Alexander method of good posture, where you're holding yourself upright and you know that you're not drooping forward, but your arms out to the side, shoulders back, chin into the chest, and you're in fairly good posture. Because if you aren't, there are postural misalignments that really can hurt your back over time. Mm-hmm. But the other method, and the most important one, is the Feldenkrais method, developed by a man named Moshe Feldenkrais, who shattered his knees in a car accident and created 2,000 movement lessons to heal his own body, and then taught it, and you can become certified in that method. I did not become certified, but I've studied it my whole career because it has been the most healing for people.
Yeah, what this is bringing back to me. So I was a theater major in New York at Adelphi University. I went to a 4-year conservatory theater program. Our first class of every day of that 4 years was a movement class. And so the Alexander technique and the Feldenkrais were all things that I heard of. They incorporated these. And movement was the very first class that we had to take at 8 a.m. This was this was unheard of for me because exercising was hard as it was. It wasn't my thing. But to get up at 7 o'clock and be ready in a leotard at 8 o'clock in the morning was also not my thing. But I grew to appreciate it and love it. And to this day, I just met with some of my theater friends from decades ago after we graduated, and we were mimicking things that were said to us in movement class and the music that would be playing while we were doing this. So I hear what you're saying, and that posture thing, that's kind of a throwback. My mother was always, put your shoulders back, put your shoulders back. I don't really hear parents saying that too much to kids anymore.
It's true, but it's not that they're going to listen to their parents, but the other side of that is technology, screen technology took over our lives. So let's start with kids. They're hunched over their PlayStations. Their head is drooping. The head weighs 10 to 14 pounds. It becomes like a bowling ball on the chest. And it shortens the breath because you're caving in over your chest and abdomen. So your breathing is impaired. Now, middle school, college students, and adults. We've got our iPads, we've got the computer and the phones. Again, we're hanging over these screens, right? And it's really deteriorating our posture. So one thing I tell people to do is place your screen, whatever it is, up on a 6-inch stand or get a couple of books and prop it up on the book so your head is at eye level with your screen. So you're not looking down.
Uh-huh. That makes all the sense in the world. Absolutely. Yeah. That's incredible. And is it true that posture, because like you see some people, they're very hunched over. It's sort of like the typical, like when you see a cartoon of an old person, they're all hunched over and their shoulders are bending over. Is there a way to mitigate that by being conscious of it and actually doing some type of exercises around it?
Yes, absolutely. So the most obvious postural misalignment is what you're describing as kyphosis, where the shoulders round, the head juts forward, and you're like in a question mark. The spine is a question mark. And your posture is like a handwriting signature. It's developed at an early age, and it's difficult to reverse. So what I tell people to do is stand up against a wall with your arms up like this and put the back of your head against the wall and just climb the arms up slowly and pull them down, but keeping your shoulders and back of the head and buttocks against the wall. Do that every day, hold it here, and then walk away from the wall. That is better posture.
And the way you have your arms right now, because this is radio, so it's sort of a what do you call it?
In a square.
In a
out
square.
To the sides in a square here.
Okay, yeah, that's wonderful. So if you can still, and even if you're elderly now, what if you've already got some type of? Is it possible to reverse, some of the spinal things that we see in older adults?
If you become aware of your pelvis and where it's placed, I would suggest people take their hands, put it on the waistline, and tuck the pelvis under as if you're turning two knobs backwards, and it's pushing the pelvis forward, and then you're lifting in the breastbone. So it's a lot of different placement, but I will say this, Laura, once the bones are formed over that way, you can't change the bones because the muscles form to the bones. You can just work on the muscles, and hopefully over time, little by little, you can pull yourself up much more than where you're left.
And how important are those muscles? Let's get to that. And then also, as we weave our way, my guest is Roberta Bergman. Her book is Back on Track, the Lifestyle and Exercise Guide on Healing Back Pain, because specifically, many people are plagued with this. Gratefully, I am not, but I have friends that are, and my heart just goes out to them. They're in severe pain. And two of my friends have gotten quite serious surgeries done. And I worry so much about them because you don't want to see anyone that you love suffering. And so that one always feels like it's a biggie to me. And you like to try to turn people into opportunities to perhaps maybe deal with some of these issues with exercises and strengthening in the core area so that maybe you don't have to go that drastically. But some people do. If people have had a back surgery, Roberta, can they still be helped by various exercises, or are things changed inside?
Yes, very much. They can be changed. And you asked me before to show you an exercise that people can do just to improve that kyphosis, that poor posture. Did you ever hear of a resistance band?
Yes, those long, like stretchy bands from exercise class. Yes.
And they're not expensive, and they're user-friendly because you just wrap it around your fingers like 3 times and raise the band above your head and pull it behind your back while opening the arms out to the sides. And you would do that at least 12 to 15 times every day. Every day. Mm-hmm. That's the tricky thing. And
that's the tricky thing.
Yeah. But this is so easy, light, and nobody's watching you. You do it on your own in your home. And then press open with the band in front of you, extending the forearms out and in. And then you'll do 1 and 1. 1 back and 1 front. And watch this. To the back, your chest is opening. You're expanding through the chest, and you're toning the upper back, which is very important to improve posture. Doctors are now saying you can lift light weights above your head, whereas they used to say, don't, it's too strenuous. But the new thinking now in the medical world even is to use light weights. And when I say light, I mean 2, 3, 5 pounds. Even that will give you a benefit. So let's say you're taking the weights to the shoulders and you're raising them above your head. You could do 12 of those. It's not going to hurt your back. But the best way of detecting where your pain emanates is by lying on a mat on the floor, Laura, and bend your knees, open the arms out in a T shape. And I put this is all well laid out in my book and the audio book also. And drop the knees from side to side like windshield wipers, but slowly. That's the trick, slowly. And you'll feel, wait a minute, if I'm going to the right, that hurts my back. So you don't go down as far. Pull yourself back up to center, and let's try it on the other side. And then we would go into a fetal position, knees into the chest, arms out to the side. Here's the Feldenkrais move. You're gliding your upper arm across your chest, unraveling the arm, and your head looks at the moving arm. And then you bring it back in. And again, gentle movements on your back on a mat. You will feel how much you can move without pain. If there's pain, you don't go that far. You pull it back, which is against like the basic theory of no pain, no gain. No, that's not how you're going to improve your body health.
So will you actually be able to get rid of pain by doing these gentle exercises every single day? Will eventually you be able to work out the pain?
Yes, that's the point of doing it slowly so you detect it, and eventually the pain dissipates. Okay, here's another thing. A very famous physical therapist, Robin McKenzie, has people lying on their stomach, propped up on the elbows like a sphinx, and then extending the arms up, the elbows up. And the pain, let's say it's in a circle in the lower back. By holding this position, that area decreases, diminishes, and eventually goes away, which is what you want. But like you said, it's got to be from doing it regularly and focusing on your back.
Well, the beauty of Roberta Bergman's book, Back on Track, the Lifestyle and Exercise Guide on Healing Back Pain, she has pictures in there. You remember that when we were younger, it was always so much easier to be able to visualize it if you actually see pictures. Well, she's got them in the book, and the instructions are so easy friendly and user friendly, I should say. And they're wonderful. She uses herself as the model in here, and she's demonstrating in all the pictures in the book, so that you can see exactly what to do. It's a lovely that it's not so clinical. And so I know you have an advanced degree in health and wellness sciences of the exercising, but you very, very easy to understand. You know, it's something that you can all take in. It's not so clinical and so scientific that it gets too hard.
I love that. Yes, that's exactly right. I am not a doctor, and I don't profess to be, of course, although I'm married to one. That has nothing to do with it. And in the audio book, it's really easy because the publisher sends each person a PDF file of all the exercise, so you can just scroll down and it's easier to see and work with. Then you get on the floor and do them yourself.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Really is. Now, again, with people that have been suffering for whatever reason, like I'll say to a friend, why are you in so much pain? Oh, the doctor said I have something discs, things that I don't really know what they are scientifically, but things are wrong with their discs or their spinal stenosis, or they have like some kind of a, curvature in their spine or something. There's all sorts of these things that feel and sound very critical and very serious. But do you think that some of these things can be mitigated if you start early enough, or even if you've waited too long? Like me, I have just started walking again on a treadmill. I'm doing 45 minutes to an hour every day, just because I've got to move, and at least it's something. But eventually I would like to do some of these strengthening exercises like you have here. But I'm going to be the gentle one. I'm going to be the one to do like you have in your book here, because I'm not the person to go to the gym and lift those weights and everything. But for the friends that have some of these serious things, do you take that into consideration with the exercises?
Absolutely. And I want to tell you what else. Besides walking on land, I also teach water exercise. It is so therapeutic to just walk in the water. Those friends of yours, if they would get into a pool, now it's getting nice out, not too nice yet, but if they get an indoor pool or an outdoor pool, simply walk in the water and grab a noodle, which costs nothing, $6, and push the noodle forward and back as you're walking to get a little upper body stretching and strengthening. And then you would go drag that noodle under the water. So you really work your shoulders also. And the water, the physiological properties of the water are especially good for the joints because your body is 90% buoyant in the water. So you don't even feel you have 10% of your body weight. You're 90% buoyant. So you're not going to feel like you do on land. So it's a gentle exercise. But when you're done with 40 minutes, 30 minutes in the pool, you'll walk out like you feel like you just got a massage.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Great.
Yes, I've heard that it's so good because it's not that sort of violent, a type of pushing of in the water. Things are much more gentle. And
yes.
I think that's absolutely a great idea. I hadn't even thought of that, but it is. And it's also a good way just to get cardio in, right? Because it's
yes,
harder to walk in the water. So that's a wonderful tip. Yes. Wonderful stuff here. Roberta, do you speak anywhere? Do you travel? Do you have videos? Besides your wonderful book here, how can people find you and all of the rest of your works and your writings?
Thank you. Well, people, you can follow me on Instagram at Body Formula Fitness. And I continually post tips for the back, arthritis, and wellness. A lot of people have finger and, hand pain. So you've got to exercise even your fingers, if you could believe it or not. And those exercises are also in my book. Also, I have 4 health and fitness DVDs that you can stream on Vimeo, or go to your library and go to Hoopla. You need your library card. And my videos, you can download them and stream them. And I have one called the Back Shape Up series, which is perfect for your friends with back pain.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Oh, that's wonderful. Roberta Bergman is my guest. She's an ACE certified fitness trainer, speaker, and now author of this fantastic book, Back on Track, the lifestyle and exercise guide on healing back pain. And you can find her at Body Formula Fitness, at Body Formula Fitness. She's also on TikTok and Facebook at Body Formula. It's a way to remember it, very easy. But Roberta Bergman, I am so grateful that you came on today because your wonderful, clear and gentle way of describing these things makes me feel that even I might enjoy it and get into it.
I know you could, Laura, and you're doing well getting on the treadmill, but I look forward to you trying water exercise and seeing if it's even more motivating for you to do some movement.
You've got it. I really appreciate it. One more time. Back on Track is the book. You can get it in the audio version or in a regular book, wherever fine books are sold. Back on Track, the lifestyle and exercise guide on healing back pain. Roberta Bergman, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure meeting you. Anyone who's a friend of Paul's is a friend of mine. And now you're my friend. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful stuff.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Here's Laura.
So many good books, so little time. That's all I'm going to say about that. And of course, so little time, but enough time to have at least one good news story thrown into the mix by our guru of good news, Jim Cleefield. Jimmy Dean, what do you have for us today?
Well, we'll take you out to the boogie down of the Bronx, New York for this wonderful story. History was made. It was a groundbreaking announcement at the prestigious Albert Einstein College of Medicine. This is where the announcement was made. And I'll tell you why it was so historic. What if I told you that tuition is now free at that school for these students, thanks to the generosity of a woman who has a deep connection to the school, so deep that she used to be tenured there at the university, some 55 years ago. Her name is Dr. Ruth Gottesman, 93 years old. And what happened was that she donated $1 billion. Now, you say, where did she get the money? Well, her late husband, David Gottesman, was a financial guy in the world out there. He invested money in the beginning for Berkshire Hathaway, which was founded by Warren Buffett. Well, guess what happened? He turned the funds over to her, saying, you do with this whatever you wish. She made quite a windfall, so much that she said, I'm going to use this $1 billion to help make tuition free for these students. Now, I mean, you can imagine the tears of joy that were shed by these students because, let's face it, the tuition cost is going higher and higher all the time, right? Average tuition at that school, by the way, $59,000 a year. Can you imagine that? So here's what happens. So it's going to help these students, the one who are graduating this spring, they're going to get reimbursed for their tuition, and the incoming students in August, it's going to be tuition free, all because of this generosity of her. Because the reason is she is really strongly about medical research and training. Now, these could be the future doctors, nurses, maybe even pharmacists. And because I say that now that they can concentrate on their studies, they won't have to worry about going into thousands of dollars in debt, all because of what she did. I think that's just really wonderful. Because let's face it, I mean, I've given to my schools nowhere near what she's done. I mean, I wish I could give $1 billion to a school. But what she's doing is really just helping it make it better for these students to think about their dreams and not worry about the dollar signs.
Wow, that is pure generosity and for a good cause. Really and truly, what we need are good doctors and nurses in this country. And for those students, what an incredible, it must be like a miracle to them, really, if you think about it. But yeah, I had heard about this, but I hadn't had the details. So I'm so glad, because I can always count on you to go out and get the best stories and really embellish on them so we know what they're all about. Thank you, Jimmy, so much for always bringing in the good cheer every week. And to Bob for producing this show with the patience of Job, I would say. Patience of Bob is really the patience of
Patience
Job
is a
working
virtue.
with us. Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a really blessed week, full of all the things that you enjoy doing, with lots of accomplishments in every facet of your life. Thank you for listening to The Way Home. We'll see you next time. I'm Laura Smith.
Podcasts by Federated Media.